Okay, ladies and gents, our next lesson or two, I probably will give it 2 lessons. We are focusing now on mixtures, and we're going to look at how, or what we call separation techniques. So we're going to look at how can we separate a mixture into its components, remembering that in a mixture, there's some elements, there's compounds, but they're not connected together, they're not combined together. So it's relatively easy. Sometimes it's not that easy, but it's easier than breaking the components than, let's say, in a compound, where the elements in the compounds are connected together through chemical connections. Okay, so, I'm going to just show it to you. It's a shame, because in class, I'll be honest with you, you guys do that, and it's quite fun lessons, but we'll see when you guys come back, we might just do some of it. There is a lot of technical terms that you need to learn. Okay, and I will make that clear maybe at the end. I'll just give you a list of all these words that you need to remember. Okay, right, so I've got soil, okay, just soil from outside, and salt, okay, and I'm going to mix them together, okay, and the question is, okay, how are we going to separate them? I said it's easy. It's not that easy, though. I'm going to start picking up salt one at a time. That's going to be taking me a long time. So how are we going to do it? Okay, let's have a look. The first thing we need to use is that the property of salt in that mixture is still there. So salt, we know, dissolves in water, with soil doesn't. So if I'm going to, if I add water to it, okay, and I stir it, okay, then hopefully most of my salt now dissolved into the water, okay, where the soil isn't. Now, how can that help me? Just think about it. How can that help me? I'll just pause here, get my rest of the stuff, but think about it. Right, so how can we get, let's say, the soil out of this mixture? What I'm going to use is something called a filter paper, okay, and a funnel. Okay, so what we're going to try and do, because the salt is dissolved in the water, the salty solution will be able to go through the filter paper, where the soil will stay on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half, then fold it in half again, and then open it up, and now you can see I've got a nice little funnel shape. And I'll put that in actual funnel, okay, making sure it's open here, and I'll put a beaker here and pour it in, okay? All right. Now I'll just try and get the camera so you can see. All right, with the camera, you can see that I've got the solution here, slowly going through. You can hopefully see the water drip, 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 dripping. Okay, the soil, which doesn't dissolve in the water, will stay on the filter paper. Okay. And it's what we call a residue. It will stay on top. It won't go through. Okay, the holes in the filter paper are very small, so only the water and the tiny salt particles that have been dissolved properly in the water, only they can go through. Where the soil will be the residue on the top. Okay, I'm just going to show you. You can already see that the edges, okay, where I'm pointing all around, okay, all around, you can see the residue of the soil staying on the filter paper. Now, in theory, I need to just keep on waiting, but actually I've got enough here. I'm going to leave the rest, okay? And now I've got a salty solution. Look, I won't lie to you. There's a few grains of sand that went through. You can see it's not 100% clear. So if I wanted to get rid of them, I probably will have to pass it through a filter paper again. But now I've got the soil on top of the filter paper, and I can just leave it to dry so it will not be wet, but I still have the salt in the water here. How do I get the salt out of here? Think about that, okay? I'll pause whilst you think. So what we've done so far, we use filtration. We filtered the soil out of this water, salty water solution. That was filtration. That's one technique. Now I've got salty water here, and I want to get the water. What I'm going to use is, probably some of you guessed, evaporation. Okay? This is called Evaporating Dish, and it's one of these instruments that you need to remember the name. This is a beaker, okay? So I'm going to pour my salty solution over here. I'm going to light up the gas, obviously put my goggles first. Okay, and we'll put the evaporating dish on top here. Okay, now I must always stand, I must never sit next to a gas stove if we're heating water, because if somebody knocks it down, which can happen, hot water spills on the table on my lap. So that's why I must stand. Okay, now in the meantime, I'll just show you what's happening here. It's starting to bubble, as you can see. But I don't want to take too much of your time, so we're just going to pause here and wait for the water to evaporate. Water will evaporate, leaving the salt behind. Okay, so 2 minutes passed, okay, and it just stopped now. 2 minutes passed of evaporation, okay, and I'll just show you. Hopefully you can see. I don't really know how well you can see. Yeah, I think you can see. You can see the salt in the evaporation dish. There's a few brown spots, which is some soil that went through the filter paper, okay? But you can clearly see the salt over there. If we wanted to get rid of the extra soil, we probably would have to pass it again through a filter paper before we evaporated it. Okay? Or use 2 filter papers, one after inside each other. Okay, so this method of separation involved filtration, get rid of the soil, and evaporation, to get rid of the water and end up with the salt. We're going to move on to the next one, which is called chromatography.